Hey everyone, welcome back to Shattering Ceilings. It's Lauren
and Megan. And we are here today with our second interview. One lovely lady that is a dear friend of ours, Miss Gabrielle.
Hi
Gabs.
guys.
What's going on?
I came down to Jersey this weekend. And I'm here hanging with you guys, luckily, before I head back up to New York, but it's been a good weekend.
I'm kind of jealous right now.
I wish you were here.
Oh, me too. We've had the laziest Sunday. I'm like, I could do that. I could be there.
Yeah, we were just saying for Gab's birthday in June, it's like the big 30.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
I know. And I feel like I've dreaded like becoming 30 for a while, but now I'm like, since I'm like moving into like a good season, like now I'm like happy. Like I'm stoked to be 30. Like I'm excited to see what else comes next.
Yeah. I mean, it could be crazy because
that's all right.
You're on your Saturn return, but
yeah,
I feel like there's just this like release of like caring about bullshit when you turn 30. I don't know what it is, but I woke up the next day and I was like, I'm old as shit. Fuck everything. I'm cool. I'm pretty.
I know. And I feel like I've been taking like baby steps to get there. And like every month we get closer to like May. I'm like, I'm ready. Let it go, baby.
Yeah.
Get it out.
Yes.
Yeah. I think my 30s have been definitely better than my 20s for sure. And it's only getting better, even though I'm getting older. It is getting better. Yeah.
It's a vibe. It's a good vibe.
It is. Yeah. And now people live forever. So
it's true.
It's like we're not getting old. We're just like babies still, really.
We are still babies. We are. Yeah. So we were chatting a little bit today about like where she is now, which we're definitely going to get to, right?
Yeah.
We've been talking about all the work that she's been doing, which we'll get to as well. But do you want to share with us like a little bit about like what you feel like you have been going through? Or like, do you want to start,
Let's talk a little bit about who you are, because we know who you are well, but like nobody else does. So tell us a little bit about you, Gabby.
That's true.
All right. It's kind of funny like talking about myself, but so I'm a mom. I have a 2-year-old son. I have a network marketing health and wellness business. I'm studying for a functional nutrition certification. And I also work for a local distillery. So I'm pretty busy all the time, but I really love it. And I've kind of like had a lot of different opportunities and a lot of different jobs. I did like hunting club. I worked as a paralegal. I've just kind of like bounced around and tried pretty much anything I can. So now I feel like I'm finally like getting in the right groove, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So, okay, health and wellness business, functional nutrition. I know you work out a lot. How did you get into health and wellness?
Well, it's kind of funny. I mean, this is something that I've just become a lot more. This is really funny when I say it out loud now. I'm a lot more confident talking about it and even like being open about it. I've struggled for a lot of like most of my life with anorexia. I have body dysmorphia issues. It just kind of started from like a young age when I used to dance, and it always carried with me. And I kind of thought for a while, like even after having my son, that like that was something that I had, gotten rid of, and it wasn't something that was just such a big deal to me anymore. But obviously it was very internalized and I never healed it or dealt with it. So it really came out like when I was pregnant, it was really hard for me just because I like couldn't even stand to watch my body get the size that it was. Like, obviously I know now, like I grew a child and I'm so grateful that my body was able to handle all of that. But with the same token, like the bounce back, like that really had me down in like a pretty bad place. So just like kind of coming from that perspective, and even like in the point I am in now, I'm just like really on like a good path of like helping like myself, and even I want to help other people with like health and wellness, and just being comfortable in your own skin and being confident in what you got and accepting who you are. And that's just like kind of how the path is going for me right now.
Oh yeah, you got this delicious tender meat suit to carry you around. Might as well love it.
Exactly. And for me too, like
I think
was
that's pretty awesome.
Lauren.
Like, I mean, not everybody. It's hard because I think there's a little bit of a lag.
Yeah.
Go ahead with what you're saying though.
Oh, I don't know now. That thought is like long gone. It'll come back. It'll come back when you start talking.
Okay. Perfect. There'll be a lot of editing on this one. It's okay.
Yeah.
We've got a weird time thing going on. Okay. So let's get back into it. You just talked about your body dysmorphia and how that's shown
Mhm.
up as an adult. Now, in your health and wellness business, how does that kind of like drive how you interact with clients?
So for me, just having such a poor relationship with food, just being able to like focus on creating that really great, like healthy habits and even just creating like a better relationship. So like when you're going to eat food, like you should be eating food that brings you joy. Like when you eat something
Mm.
and you feel so good about it, there's definitely like a rhythm of the way that like your body digests it, how good you feel, the energy that comes with it, as opposed to like you're eating because you are forced to eat, or it's like that time of the day you have to eat, or you're trying to like shove different, I don't know, calories in or different meals in because it's something you think you're supposed to be doing. And I just feel like that's not the way we should be going about things, especially for our digestion and like even the way we feel overall. So to be able to like help people even just digest better, like feel good eating. Like I never felt good eating. I always felt like I was eating too much or too little. And like it was just such a process for me to like really work through that and like be happy eating. Like even today we had tacos and pizza, which normally like old Gab would be like, are you out of your mind? Why would you eat that?
Yeah. And we topped it off with a delicious cupcake.
With a cupcake. And I like,
Ooh.
oh my, old Gab would have been like, are you insane? We have to work out for like 3 hours tomorrow and like go home and do like a run or something. You can't just like, those calories are just gonna like sit inside of you and not go anywhere. But just like to eat it, like even just like eating the pizza, like I still have an issue with like gluten and dairy, but like I'm not bloated at all. And like we ate, like I don't eat like that. And like it like felt good to eat like that. Like, and we were learning too, we did a little bit of we went over like my human design about like your digestion. So I'm high sound. So like for me, if I sit in front of a TV, I have a better digestion. Like I have an easier time eating. I have an easier time digesting the food. And that's, I just feel good.
Isn't that interesting?
It's crazy.
So, okay. When did that start to like kick in for you? So you talked about like after you had G, you were still struggling with like some body image issues. Is that really when it started to like click for you that there had to be like this embodied relationship change?
It was honestly, I would say even like more this year. So like my son just turned 2 a couple weeks ago. So like right after I had him, watch my body, bounce back. Like I couldn't work out for a little bit because I was in too much pain. But once I got back on it, I kind of fell into like old habits of like not eating. And because I was breastfeeding, so you burn a lot of calories when you breastfeed. So it was kind of like coupled like that, where I was like, oh, I'm working out so much. And I was like limiting how much I could eat. And breastfeeding, like I got really, really thin. And even when I was really thin, I was like, I'm still not in like the shape I want to be in. And like, I'm not really sure where the idea of like what body I wanted, maybe it was pre-GL because I was in a really great shape before I got pregnant. So I think like that kind of stuck with me too, but it wasn't really until I would say even when I started therapy in like November, that's kind of when all these things like started coming up for me. And I kind of just started to realize like, this is not healthy what I'm doing. And like going forward, I don't want my son even to see that like I have such a bad relationship with food and like expect him to have such a good relationship if like I couldn't give that proper like role model to follow. So that's kind of been like a driving force for me too. I mean, is him, but more so like I just want to be really healthy. And like I know if I'm like before like not working out or not eating properly, I would just like put myself in a hole and just like kick me when I'm down and like nothing could get me out no matter what I did. And that's just been like a really big driving force for me. Yeah.
What do you do differently now? Like you said, you started
Now?
therapy and you started like working on that relationship. Yeah. Like how does that look different
Yeah.
now? Since you used to like knock yourself down, like what would you share with somebody who's feeling like this resonates with them?
That you just really have to give yourself grace. And like that took a long time for me to actually hear it. Like people had said it to me, but like for me, I can hear things 1,000 times and until I feel like I'm ready to hear it, like I don't actually hear it. And like I didn't give myself any kind of grace, like having a child or like the way my body looked or like, okay, you're in too much pain today, you really shouldn't work out, or it's okay if you ate that pizza or whatever it is. I just like never gave myself like the grace or even the grace to like rest and that it's okay to rest. And like your body actually needs that. I was just so like, I don't know, it's just I had all this like pent up, like almost resentment. Like I just had a lot of like feelings. And I just feel like now that I'm working through them and like getting them out, it's just been easier for me. And like even to give myself grace. Like I haven't worked out like this whole weekend and I'm like, that's fine. I'm good. I ate what I want. I did what I want. And I'm like, I'm good. I feel good. I feel really good.
Hell
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
It's an interesting feeling. It definitely is.
Yeah. Do you have a question, Laura?
Yeah, I was thinking about like last year. I know I didn't want to interrupt. We all met like, well, it wasn't the first time we met, or was it? I can't remember. Anyway, we all met last summer down at the Shore House, right? And we kind of like spoke about some things that were, I guess, limiting beliefs, like some roadblocks, right? And I think the one thing that I remember then was like the identity thing, like becoming a new mom,
Oh yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that one of like the most real quotes I've heard recently when it comes to motherhood is like, they don't tell you that there's like partly a grieving process of like the person you now are versus the person you used to be.
Oh yeah.
Like, does that resonate?
Oh yeah. And like I went through like serious postpartum depression and anxiety, like really bad. And I was in complete denial about it. But like even like after I started therapy and I kind of got down to the root of like where this depression cycle and like just me trying to like hold on. Like I was trying so hard to like grasp onto the Gab I was before, because that's like all I knew. And that's where I was like comfortable and like I had like a routine and like that's where I was. So to just like put that completely on hold and then like be this totally different person for this like tiny potato, like that was like the craziest experience for me. But like I struggled for a really long time. Like I didn't know who I was and like I didn't know where to go. And because you're like trying so hard to go back to the old, even though you can't, just because like obviously your life is totally different. It was just like such a pull for me. And I just like found myself in such a hole for such a long time. And I could not like create this new identity because I'd be like, well, there's this little person that's relying on me. How am I supposed to like focus on myself? And like even that, like, which for a while it made me feel horrible, but I had like so much resentment because I'm like that wasn't fair. Like I wasn't ready. Like I wanted to hold on to like that old version instead of being like, look at what you're stepping into. Like this is like I love this new version, and it's taking me now, my son being 2, like till now to be like, I fucking love this. This is a full body yes for me. Like this is where I'm at and I'm happy about it. Like I'm stoked about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Heck yeah. Oh my gosh. And I think everybody goes through that. I mean, I don't know about you, Lauren, but I mean, my kids are 4 and almost 6, and I still feel like I'm kind of coming out of what I thought my life would be and what it actually is, because both of my kids were not planned. So every time it was like, oh fuck, and we're here again.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I think I
definitely.
It does, and I mean, mine were both planned, but you don't get to plan life around that, right? So I obviously had some big things happen around that. They're having children. So having to deal with life and becoming a mom, that was, and I think that most of us probably deal with that in some sort of way. But I think for me too, it was definitely a struggle to figure out who I was after having children and getting back to like me, because I know a lot of us feel that, like that, you're like kind of selfish if you, want to take care of you, or if you want to do things for you. Says who? I don't really know.
I don't know. Nobody.
Like that's just like the societal thing, but like really it's not. And I really think that, part of raising a, good human and someone who like really has a, like a whole understanding of life, like you have to show them too that you're not just a mom, that you have other facets to you too, and that's how they can also really step into different roles in their lives as well, without maybe the kind of pressure that we felt.
Heck yeah. Modeling is so huge. Like, I mean, I'm all in the child, like how to raise your child well thing right now. And like I don't know how to say it better than that. But that's a huge thing that keeps coming up, is like we can talk to our kids all day long. Like how much beautiful stuff did your parents tell you about like how to take care of yourself and how to love yourself? But then what they modeled wasn't in alignment with that. And it's like such a mind fuck. And I think it's hard as a parent now. I mean, to say like tell my kids not to eat candy, and then meanwhile I'm like waiting for them to run around a corner so I could go sneak like a Reese's cup because I just said something different. Like bridging that gap and really connecting to the like the stuff that you share and the stuff that you teach, and hope that your child like grabs onto and really like deeply understands.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
along with like the therapy part, like you've been really, again, you dove into human design a little bit, as did we, which is pretty awesome, right?
Mhm.
What other kind of like work do you feel has really helped you embody, not just like, feel what you want to be or think about what you want to be, but really embody that?
Yeah.
I mean, definitely the personal growth. Like every morning I do make it a point now every single morning that I get up earlier than my son does. Like I sneak out of bed so he doesn't hear me. But like reading has been huge. Like I can tell a difference between the way my brain even is. Like if I'm not reading or I'm not paying attention to like focusing on me, or even like the new book we started, the Project 369, like that is like so cool to like learn about. But just like really taking the time for myself to have like me time, and like even if it's just sitting down and I'm drinking a cup of coffee in complete silence is incredible. Or like going outside for like a walk in the wet grass, and like all those different things, like to get grounded. Like I just feel like that has like really helped me embody it. Like, and just like now, especially to it, like the identity, like now I feel like I have an identity. Like I'm like happy with the version that I'm becoming. Like I'm glad that I'm stepping into this version, even as a mom, but like as an adult, as like a woman, like to be in that position, I'm a lot more grateful for than I think I was before. I wasn't like, I don't dread anything anymore. I'm just like fully excited. And I feel like because I'm like, even trying to like, even I'm on the right path now to like where I want to be and what I want to be doing and who I want to be helping, that's really helping me like embody like just this full body. Yes. I don't know. That's the only way I could describe it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay. So I want to ask a question, and this is, I know we're like all together, but I almost feel like I'm interviewing you guys both because I'm looking at you on the screen together. So I'm throwing this question out for everybody. In your personal experience, did you feel like at what point did you start to feel like a woman as opposed to like a girl? Like even in the way that you spoke about yourself.
When I stopped drawing my eyeliner on. That was a good indicator.
That's a good one. Really? That's a good one. I started drawing my eyebrows on because I realized I don't have any eyebrows left, and I'm like, oh, this is good. Wait, we're stepping into like this is like mom woman mode. Oh my god, that's so funny. It's so funny you mentioned that because I look back and I'm like, oh, that eyeliner.
Yeah, what was that? Right. Why was I so obsessed? Like I used to like the thick black, like the wing. I was known for like the wing forever.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I could like show you pictures. It's pretty bad.
I would love to see it. So, okay, the switch from eyeliner to eyebrows is the step into womanhood.
Yeah, for me, I mean, maybe not for like the younger generation, because I feel like they have incredible eyebrows. But for me, when we had like that weird trend where everyone was plucking them so thin, I didn't do that because I didn't have any anyway. But like when I started to realize like, hey, my hair should probably match what's on my face, I was like, yeah, this is, and I started washing my face every day. I'm like, yeah, this is probably, this is where I'm at. I care more about my skin.
Yeah. I mean,
I love that.
That's a hard question, Meg. I feel like there's so many ways you go about it. And like, I feel like there's not just one thing, right? Like this is like a gradual, it's a total gradual process. I honestly resonate with what you said. Like, I think it's when I stopped wanting to be around people or things that just weren't aligned with me. Like, I think I think it's when you stop caring about what everyone else thinks, and there may not be a time like that for everyone. You know what I mean? I think that has to do with growth in general.
Yeah.
But I think it was like when you can start creating boundaries for you and your family and stop caring about what everyone else is doing outside of that. I think that's like a big step into like womanhood. I also think it's like the boundary of like, here's what I am going to tolerate and everything else can just be gone, that kind of thing. I think that was really, and just like the acceptance thing, like me and Bob just went away and we were I was telling Gab this, I'm like, you won't believe how many big booties are out there. Like, it was so amazing. And like, everyone was just like wearing whatever they wanted to wear and confident, and like their guys were like, just, you could tell they really thought that their women were beautiful and like they were loving about it. And I was just like, man, like I still have like room left to grow there where I still feel uncomfortable in certain things. And I did do a couple things where I'm like, I'm gonna wear this today and I'm not gonna care, like, and I did.
How
And
did
it
that
felt,
feel?
oh, it was so awesome. It was empowering. Like, I know like that sounds silly,
No,
but like
it's true.
it was like, I'm gonna wear this and like, I don't care, like, because we are all beautiful. And like, again, like we have stretch marks and we have dimples and cellulite and scars and all the things. And like, so what? There's definitely character and stories behind the reason why we have those too. And even if there wasn't, we're still freaking human. Right. So like, that's it. So yeah, I guess just like there's power and acceptance of yourself.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that power and acceptance of yourself. I feel like I'm still, the reason why I asked this question is because I feel like I didn't start to even feel like I was actually a woman until I got into my 30s. Like I would
Really
refer to myself as a girl, or like talk about other adult females as like girls instead of women. And the language started to click. And then like, I think really like 30, 31 is when I started to wear more of the stuff that I wanted and not just wear, like a V-neck t-shirt and shorts, because that's what all the other moms were doing. And I felt like I was like a child bride mother, even though I was in my 20s, like I still felt so young inside. And now like, I mean, I don't know. Even like when we all went to a concert a couple months ago and Gabby, you showed up without a bra and I was like, damn, like Gabby is so confident in her body. Like I want to just be free. And honest to God, I've thought about you a couple times since I've been here, Gabby, because I've gone out without a bra and I'm like, fuck yeah, these titties are never going to look better. Like they're just going down, So
Exactly.
Exactly.
Oh,
It's crazy. It's just so wild. Like as mothers, as partners, as business owners, all these things, like we still have to qualify ourselves as a woman. I don't know.
No, I mean, I hear you there. And like the whole, I'm a mom now. Can I wear that?
Yeah.
But then I like go out and see other people and I'm like, oh, they're rocking that. Like I can rock that. And, like,
right.
Yeah.
But I think it's like a level like of acceptance too. Like even until more recently, like I still felt like uncomfortable. Like, can I wear this shirt still? Can I still wear a crop top? Like even like not wearing a bra, like I always wear a bra, like always. And then I don't know, after I had G, I was like, these are never going to look good ever again. So I'm not even going to bother trying to fit them in a bra because I don't fit anyway. There's nothing to see here, people. I fed my kid well for a year.
They did their job.
They did their job and they receded back into my body. They retreated.
It's so crazy what happens. And like, I don't know, I feel like older people, when you have conversations, they're like, oh, I look back at pictures of myself that I hated at the time. And I catch myself doing that, seeing myself in like my 20s. I'm like, damn, I looked so good. But at the time, like there was so much judgment. Like, I don't know, do you feel like, we've been talking a lot about like you letting go of this stuff about yourself and like stepping into your power as like a full body, like fuck yes, human, just everywhere. Is there like, does that acceptance spread to like you exactly as you are right now? Or is it you being more okay with who you used to be? A combination? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely in a lot more of like an accepting place right now of who I am and where I am. And like, even where I was before, like I feel like bad for that girl when I look at pictures. Like there's some pictures where I look really good and I'm like, damn, you look bad. Oh my God. But then there's like pictures where I'm like, you look like you were struggling and no one said anything and no one like stepped in or like knew that I was struggling so hard. And like I like looking at pictures, like you can see there's like a gradual change of me like super skinny and no one knew why, or I had gained a little bit of weight and I was like the heaviest I've ever been. And like there are pictures that like I like never want anybody to see, but it's also like that was a time where I was like really struggling. So like for me to be the person I am now, like even to look in the mirror and be like, damn, look at you bad bitch. Like that's me in the mirror all the time now, because I feel like I got here like from like I had to like grow through all of that. But yeah, it's definitely like an acceptance thing for sure.
Do you feel like now you are able to see that easier on other people and like feel like you want to step in and
oh yeah. And it's like funny too, because I mean I wouldn't even say funny, like obviously we attract, we put out, and I feel like because I'm so much more accepting, like, yes, it is easier for me to see like if some of my friends are struggling or I haven't heard from somebody and I'm like, all right, what's going on here? Like, why are you acting the way you're acting? Or like, what are you doing today? It's definitely easier for me to like feel it. And I feel like even the vibe, like I can feel somebody's energy. If they're like down low, I'm like, all right, what's going on here? Why are you so low vibe? And it's not as, I don't feel like I'm being sucked into it the same amount either. Like before I'd be like sucked in and down at their level because I'm like trying to level with them, but then I would like take on their energy and then like, you know what I mean? Feel like you have to take it from them so they feel better.
Right.
But then I'd be stuck with all of that, just like sitting heavy on my heart. Like, oh, I feel so bad for this person. But now I'm like just cause I feel like there's so much more like happy vibes, like an energy coming out of me that like, that's just what I want to like pour into other people. So if they are struggling, I'm like, I'm here for you. Like, I got you. You want to talk for a second? You want me to come pick up your kid? Like whatever you want me to do, like, I'm here for you. So I just feel like that. It's just like, it's just easier now.
Yeah.
It's definitely
I love
easier.
that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So have you noticed like how have your relationships changed since you have been able to be like, rather than sitting in the shit with them, being the light that helps to pull them out?
Honestly, it's kind of been like up and down. There's like sometimes where I feel like I can help like kind of bring the person up, but then there's also that question in my head, like, am I doing too much? Am I like putting in too much and they're just not accepting of it? I've had like, because I feel so good or I'm at such a great level and I know I'm working on like, you know, becoming this better version, like every single day, like I'm better than I was yesterday. And there are definitely people that like, I've had relationships that they just don't vibe. And like, I try and I try and I try, but I'm like, I can't keep giving all the energy that like I have and I need. Like, I have to be selfish too. Like, if you don't want to help yourself, I can't help you. And like, as much as I want to, because that's the kind of person I am, like, it's also like, that's where I've created boundaries. And I feel like even more recently, like to create a boundary is like, I cannot have this energy in my space. So like, I'm good. Like, I can't do this. I'm sorry. Like, you got to let it go. But I mean, it's kind of been all over the place, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I feel like that's natural. Have you like noticed different people coming into your life that maybe match more the energy that you are living in than before?
Yeah. I mean, and like I've said, I've had like, you know, I've had like past friendships and like relationships and stuff that just like haven't really worked out, just kind of like fizzed out. And like now I kind of feel like this, obviously everything happens for us, not to us, as we all like to say, but I don't know. I just feel like there's just like such a shift. And like, because I'm projecting out this energy of like the high vibe, like we're in a good space together, I am like attracting that. And even like I have a couple of friends now that like we're like same like wavelength, same level. And I'm like, this is incredible. Like I love being in their energy because it's like almost like a recharge. Like I know you said that about Danielle. Like when you're in Danielle's energy, you're like, yes, yes. But I have a couple of friends with that too, which I've never really experienced that before. So like to be in their energy and like in their space, I'm like, ooh, I feel good. Like this is like a good, like my soul's happy, like everything is happy.
Yeah.
And I leave and I'm like reset, recharge, like let's go.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
I think cool. That's definitely like a point too of like when you really step into awareness and you understand again, like those relationships, like are you getting energy from it or are you leaving drained? Like, and those are the things to like really watch for when building relationships with people.
That mutual beneficial relationship that Danielle was talking about actually. Yeah. It's so good.
I feel that. I feel that even more lately for sure.
Yeah.
Like that is, I get that now. At first I was like a little, oh, I don't know about that. Right. Like I didn't want to seem like I was wanting to take like all the time, but like it's not taking if you're giving too. Right. It's reciprocal.
Right. It's like circulating. Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't understand it at first. But now I feel like I'm really starting to understand why she was very, you know.
And I feel like you have to be that way too, because like there's only so much like energy you have. And I feel like there's so much you can give. And like, especially if you're like a parent, like you're giving your energy and your attention to your child when you're around that, like when you're around your child, and like the relationships and friendships that you're around, they should be like same kind of equal level. Like you're both giving, and it's just like like I just feel like a charge. I don't want to feel like I'm being drained every time I'm having a conversation. I'm like, oh my God, I wish I didn't have that conversation. Like I don't even want to be part of it. Now I'm like, nope, I'm good. I have to go. I gotta go. I can't do this right now. I gotta go. I don't have a space for it. I gotta go. Yeah.
That's so awesome. Okay. So Laura, do you have any questions or because I have another one?
No, go ahead. You're a
Okay.
good interviewer.
It's because you're looking at both of us.
I think so. Yeah. It feels very weird and like official to be on this side. So you started as a dancer. Have you been an athlete your whole life?
No, I actually wasn't
No,
allowed
okay.
to do any sports.
Wow.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
what do you mean?
So so growing up, really weird. So growing up, my dad always taught me, like I kind of grew up like more tomboy, which is fine. I love that. Still, I embody that. But growing up, my dad like really wanted me to be able to play sports. I don't know why. So he was like, "You're gonna play." Like I could play baseball, football, basketball, like you name it. Like I didn't care. I was just like in there with the boys playing like elementary school, tackling, come home like filthy. My mom be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I was playing football. What do you mean?" She's like, "Football." I'm like, "I was running. What do you mean? I tackled that guy." Like it's fine. But I wasn't like allowed to play any sports, and because I chose to dance, and it was like a very expensive. It was a very expensive habit or thing to do. I like wasn't allowed to be involved in anything else because if I got hurt, I couldn't dance. And like, I don't know. In my dad's mind, it was like, I spend all this money on you, like you should be going, don't play sports, get hurt. But like for me, that was confusing because I'm like, well, I'm at home, you're teaching me how to play sports, but like you don't want me to be on that sports team. So like I never had that, like, I don't know, like competition. Like I was never like competitive. Like I didn't like do anything like that. Just like I did dance and I was like, this is fun. But I always wanted to play sports, and like all the coaches and stuff are always like, you really should just come try out. And I'm like, I'm not allowed to. That's fine, but I can't come. So part of me feels like I did miss out on that quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say I was like athletic, but just because I danced and you had to be like so flexible and like,
Right.
flannel
And
around.
strong.
Exactly. Very strong.
Yeah.
But even that was like a struggle for me just because I was like so thin and I had to be so thin. So just,
right. And is that kind of where that relationship with food and your body started?
oh yeah. Cause I remember even being like in class and stuff, and like they had younger girls, like different levels, and they were like younger girls, they would get like cupcakes because they did really well. And then they would come out with like this box of green apples. And I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? Like I'm like an 8-year-old kid and I'm getting an apple. Like, I don't want this. And just because you had to be so light and like a certain shape, a certain size, like in front of the mirror all the time, like that really kind of warped the way like I was eating and stuff. And like I grew up vegetarian too, so I wasn't eating meat to begin with. And like my mom was like really awesome about like protein shakes from like a young age. Like I always had a protein shake and I always had a salad and I always had like very healthy meals to make up for what I wasn't getting from meat. But like, there's not really a lot you can eat. And I remember being in dance and like dancing for like 3-4 hours and just like having like a granola bar and being like, I'm good. Like that's fine. I'll deal with it tomorrow. Yeah.
Do you feel like your family knew about that kind of pressure, like that was happening at school?
No,
not at all. No.
Because even like when I finally, honestly, it took therapy for me to realize that I've like struggled with like an eating disorder, and that's like how I cope with like stressful situations. How I have coped, I should say, with stressful situations. And like telling that and like admitting it out loud was not easy for it to come out of my mouth. It's still like even now I'm like like I like talking about it because like I just feel like it should be out in the open. But there was just like so much judgment in my own head about what people would think or what they would say. Like, yeah, and even like when I have come out with it, there is that kind of judgment of like, you don't look like it, like you don't look like you have a problem, but like, everybody looks different.
Cool,
it looks different on everybody. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
But even when I told my mom, she was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? You ate fine. What are you talking about? And I'm like, you didn't watch me at the table, like spit food out and put it in a napkin and put it under the table. Like I used to do that. And like, I blocked all that out of my memory until more recently when I was sitting in therapy. And I can remember like doing that because I'd be like, I cannot eat this pasta. I don't even know where the calories will go in my body. I can't do that. So I remember like just kind of spitting out in like napkins and sticking them in the table and getting them later so nobody knew.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so wild. So I've noticed a theme, like I'm surrounded by athletes just by the nature of like the work that Erin and I do. But you'd think, or at least in my mind, as an athlete, you have such a deep connection to your body, right? Because you're doing, I mean, I consider dancers athletes. So I'm looping you into that, Gab. And you've consistently like worked out and done athletic things as an adult. You're now almost 30, so you're a fucking athlete. You would think that there'd be such a deep connection to your body because it's physical movement, right? But with the food that you're taking in and the way that you're fueling yourself, there's such a disconnect. And it's not just dance. It's also like, it's a huge thing in wrestling. There's a lot of wrestlers that struggle with eating disorders as adults.
Right.
And, you know, kids, whatever, trying to make weight, football players trying to make weight. How did you I know you've been working to heal it and we keep talking about how you're working to heal it, but like, what is changing? How do you know your body differently now? How are you in better relationship with your body than as, you know, an athlete who you'd think would be feeling, you know, in that way?
So when this like finally came out in therapy, my therapist had asked me like, okay, so when's the last time you ate? Which sounds like a pretty basic question. You're like, oh, I had to eat this morning. And I'd be like, I guess yesterday. And he'd be like, what do you mean yesterday? It's 2:00 like the next day. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I haven't eaten. Like, I didn't really think about it. So like for me, in order to start, because I was like, when I had started therapy, I was in like a really deep depression hole and like not eating, like I said. So he had me like write out everything I was eating, like what time I ate it, when I was eating it. And like, I had to keep a log of it, which like, to me, I was like, that's stupid. But like, when I looked at it over the week of like, this is stupid, and I just wrote it down. The next week when I looked at it, I was like, this is nothing. Like I didn't eat anything. Like I don't even, and like to be like writing down like what I thought was a lot of food was like nothing. Or I would like find myself hesitating and be like, oh wait, I didn't have lunch today. Okay, so that's blank. And then I would just like feel awkward, like, and I'm looking at the schedule and I'm like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. Like I haven't eaten anything. And like in my head, I'm like, well, I had a protein shake, or, oh, I had like the cookie dough, or like whatever it is, like just kind of in my brain trying to make up like excuses for myself. Or like I had an apple, or, oh, I had a salad that day. Like it was not even anything close to what it should be. So like then he had me again, like meal prep, like plan, which I like have meal prepped a lot before, but because I was in such a hole, I didn't realize that I just like wasn't doing that. So like I was cooking for G and like maybe like eating little pieces off of his and just like thinking like I ate, but I had to like literally make like a list of like all the things I was making for the next week. Like when I went grocery shopping, like I had to plan a whole meal. So then because I'm making this meal and now I'm like thinking about it, and like it took me a really long time like to come back into a place of like, I am happy I've eaten. And like, if I haven't eaten, I'm like, Jesus, what are you doing? Like, let's go get something to eat. Like, let's eat again. Like, I don't even care. But it took like physically seeing it written out in front of me to be like, fuck, this is bad. Like what I've been doing is bad, is really bad.
Do you have like hunger cues now? Like, does your body feel hungry? Yeah. Is that something that's changed?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I literally had no sense of appetite. And I was, especially after I had G, like I didn't realize I was hungry. Like it just the feeling, kind of like the feeling of having to pee. I didn't have that feeling for a really long time either. It never came back. Eventually it did, but I'd be like, I'd have to like literally set a timer off, like to be like, okay, go try. Like I'm a kid, like go try to pee. Like that was me because I couldn't feel anything. But same with like food, like I almost had to like set an alarm. I had to like have it all out where like it was in my face all the time until it was like a consistent routine. And now I'm like stoked to eat, and like my body, you can feel it. I'm like, ooh, okay, my blood sugar must be low because I had the shakes, or I just don't even let myself get to that point anymore, because I'm like, this isn't healthy. And like, especially for me this year, like I picked nourish as a word of the year for me, because I wear it. I wear it every day, around my neck. And I just feel like I really wanted to nourish every single part of me. Like, and I wanted to fix and heal all of those parts that like were so broken and felt so like in shambles for so long. Like that's what I wanted to do. And again, it goes back to too, like with my son, like I want to be the best role model for him. And I don't want him to ever see me in this state of like, I'm choosing not to eat for like the week because I'm upset about something. Like it became almost like that was like a coping mechanism for me too, where like if something like happened to me or like I thought was really traumatic or bad, I would just not eat. Or
like control kind of thing.
It was, because I felt like I was especially back to the identity, I felt like I had no control over anything. And the only thing I could control was this. So for me, it's like, well, I can control not eating. I can control not gaining weight. So that's where I'm at.
Wow. Now, earlier you were saying too, like, as far as like just how you think now, like your brain, like how you're, like we were talking about, like the whole human design and digesting and things like that. You feel like you're like your brain waves or whatever, how are you going to say it? Like mentally, like you're in a different place now that you are nourishing your body with food and eating when you should be, right?
Yeah. And
Like,
even
that's
like
smart.
when I had read about the human design, like about mine in particular, and it says like I'm high sound. So like for me and my body to eat and digest properly, like either I have to sit in front of the TV, which is funny, but like that noise, like even like background noise, I digest better. My body just like it's in tune with like the energy of it and like the way the food digests and like it flows through my body. But even in terms of like calories and stuff, like I had said too, like my brain is just so active, which is true. Which is kind of funny. So because my brain is so active, it uses more calories, so I have to eat more. And like if I undereat, I'm lazy, which I'm like, that makes sense because last year when I wasn't eating, I would like never had motivation. I was always like, oh, I'm not motivated. I don't want to do anything, like just in such a bad hole. And now I'm like, well, that's why. Like you weren't nourishing yourself and you weren't using your brain. And like that's why it's not, you know, jiving the right way. Which is
Do you
interesting.
notice that when you have meals with people where you're having like good conversations and that is the noise, does that make a difference in how you digest? Like you said today, you had taco and pizza, you ate that with people that you care about and we're having good conversations. Like is there a correlation there?
I think so. And like even for eating, I literally could never eat in front of anybody, like on a date, in front of my family. Like that was pretty limited. Like even my friends, I just felt really awkward eating in front of them. And like I think part of it was because in my head, I was like, oh my God, this is so many calories, or like, how am I gonna burn this off? Was like running through my head as I was trying to eat. Um, but like now that, and I wouldn't really talk at all. I would just eat so fast that it would just be done with. So it was like, okay, it's done. Like moving on. It was like a chore almost to me, where I'd be like, okay, I have to just get this done, and then I can do something else. But now like that I'm actually enjoying the food, like I'm more apt to be in a conversation with somebody, where like dinner might take me an hour or two because I'm having such a great conversation and I'm enjoying the food at the same time. And even just like talking in the background of like if I'm at a restaurant or something, I do digest a lot better, and I don't like go home and I'm like super bloated. I don't overeat. I don't feel bad about what I'm eating either. Like it's just like a different vibe. Even like the pizza and tacos, like I should have been a hot mess. Like usually my body's like, no, no pizza, don't do that. But because I was just so happy about the food, like, and just I was so excited to eat it, I think it's just easier. Like I'm still not bloated, and I'm like, are you okay? What's going on in there?
I mean, that's a fucking win. Like, yes,
It's
thank
a
you,
big
Hot, for being
win. It's a
so
huge win.
healthy.
It's a big win
love
for
that.
me. It's awesome. Yeah, it's cool.
I feel like too, I've definitely seen a difference in you over the past year, and even more recently too, like being more consistent. You know what I mean? Because I know it's still a struggle. It's not like you just cured it and then it's like done. Like you've still had your highs and lows right over the past few months and stuff.
Yeah. And like for me too, like the seasons, and I think it's more of like an excuse for me. Like I'm like, oh, I need to be outside. I'm like a house plant. I need the sunshine. Like again, just like excuses in my head of like why I'm sad or why I'm depressed. But I really think like, especially since now my eating is in check, like that's like a better driving force for like my emotions. Like I'm happier. Like I'm just in like a better mood. I'm not usually like by now, like even in past years, by like September, October, I'm like back in the hole where I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm going to hide, just do what I got to do and just be done with it. And instead I'm just like, I'm amped up all the time. I wake up, my body wakes up at 6 o'clock and it's like, let's go, baby. Let's get up. And I'm like, let's go. And, you know, I think that it's definitely been a big factor, but yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see like I rode the roller coaster for a long time and I finally got off and was like, fuck this isn't working for me. I don't like this anymore. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool. Is there anything else that we want to like cover topic wise? No.
Not that I can think of. I can't. Let me go back to our text.
Okay. The only thing we didn't really cover was like spirituality, but I feel like that's so off of what the conversation has gone to, unless you think that there's something that you want to share about that, Gabs. Or we could even do a
like
whole fucking second
up,
one.
Yeah, like we were talking about like no, this is you. Like looking at the text from you.
Like growing up in a spiritual household.
Yeah, like energetics. Yeah, like how like that played into, because I feel like even though you had that growing up. I feel like you didn't really step into it until more recently.
Yeah, no, I really didn't. And like my mom, so I grew up, my mom was like very, we used to call her like we almost like woo woo would be like, I don't know what she's doing, that witchy thing again, that weird thing again. She's got her crystals out. I'm like, what the hell is she doing? Talking to the angels. I'm like, sure, mom. All right, whatever. But like my mom's like big believer in that. And like, I totally believe in like, the movement of energy and energy work and energy healing. And like with the crystals and everything. But like growing up, like, it's kind of funny, like when I was younger, I totally believed it. And I remember as a kid being like, this is my crystal. Like I had like all these cool crystals in my room and like the angels like on the wall and stuff like that. And like always like asking for protection when you left the house. And like, I was like really big into that. And then I remember like going into probably high school and like talking about it. And my friends being like, what the fuck are you talking about? Are you okay? Like, what does that even mean? I'd be like, you guys you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like, you believe in like God, what's the difference? And obviously like I'm like God, universe, creator, everybody. But it wasn't really until like more recently when I've just really just gotten back into like, focusing on like the energy movement and the whole woo woo routine, as we keep talking about. Like it is so true. And like I can tell too, like even like the way my energy is shifted in general, like I can feel the shift. And like even when I go and talk to people, like the shift is different. And like I know if I'm in a bad mood, like I was at work the other day and I was not in a great mood because my son was driving me out of my mind. And like I got to work and I was not grounded, and I got out of the car and I was just like hightailing up the hill and I was super pissed off about something. And I started talking to somebody and they were like, all right, like you have an attitude, you can go like separate it for a second before you come in here. So like for me to just be like, all right, let me just breathe for a second and get grounded again. It's just been really interesting for me. And like I know now if I'm like in a better like high vibe state, like that's what I'm attracting. Like I'm attracting those like new connections and like relationships with people, like people I haven't talked to in a long time, like have come back into my life. And I'm like, oh, hi, because they're on that same vibe I am. And I'm like, this is a good conversation. But definitely like stepping back into that. And like I am now more in tune with like the most stuff my mom says to me. And she's still like, did you get grounded before you left today and asked for protection? I was like, I did. So like, I don't know. I just feel like even like driving down to Jersey yesterday, like it could have been the most torturous drive of my entire life. Like 3.5 hours from New York is not a great drive to Jersey. It sucks. The turnpike is fucking terrible. And like, I used to drive it when I went to school in Philadelphia. So like, I know I have like some traumatic driving memories, but I don't know. I got in the car and I was like, this is going to go so well. It's going to be the best drive. Super easy, no traffic, no accidents. I'm going to get there in time, have more than enough time to go to my hotel, freshen up, and then go to the event I need to with plenty of time. Let me tell you, that was a cakewalk of a drive down here, like a cakewalk.
Really?
And every time like it had popped up on my screen, it was like red for traffic. There was no traffic. Like, I don't know where this imaginary map came up with like crazy traffic. Like it just like moved so well. We'd be in traffic. I had like high vibe music on the whole time. Like I was just like coasting down. I made it in like ample time. I checked in the hotel, no problem. Like, it was just like everything like lined up so perfectly. And it's like, it's not like, I don't believe like the whole, it was such a coincidence. Now I'm like, this is divine. Like the divine is like, here you go, baby. You ask for it, you get it.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so cool. Just a great example of it.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in school, there would be girls that were like, not women, mostly women, men too, but it'd be like, oh, surround yourself with white light when you're driving and you don't hit traffic. I was like driving down towards DC and it worked all the time. And now I never think about that shit. And I'll be sitting in traffic. I'm like, oh,
yeah. Or my mom would say the parking angels. My mom would be like, ask the parking angels for the spot. And I'm just like, yes. Every time I go somewhere, I'm like, this is going to be the best parking spot. I'm going to get a close spot. Someone's going to be pulling out as I pull up. And it always happens that way. It's always like right there. I'm like, fuck yes, let's go.
Dude, it's crazy. It's just a little bit of presence. So, okay.
Oh yeah.
I have a question. Unless there's anything else you want to share about that.
No.
So knowing what you know now, and being like in this version of Gabby, if you could talk to yourself 10 years ago, what would you tell little Gabs?
That's a good one.
I'd probably hug her. She was fucked up 10 years ago. I'm not going to lie. 18-year-old Gab or 19-year-old, 19-year-old Gab was not, she thought she was in a good place. She was in college, not in a good place. Like I was in a really low place in my life when I was in college. I would definitely give her a hug and tell her to fucking eat. That was pretty bad for me. When I was in college too. I was like not eating and working out like all the time just to like keep my stress level from school down. But yeah, I would definitely tell her, one, to eat, two, to give yourself grace, like, and like be accepting of exactly who you are. Like my mom had made this comment to me the other day about like, think of your body as being a warrior. So like there may be times where like you put on a couple extra pounds, or maybe you're a little bit thinner, or you're more toned, or whatever it is. Like that is your body being in the position it is meant to be in, and that part of time, like that season, like that is like the warrior you being like, you know what, some shit's gonna happen, there's a couple pounds on you, but it's like cushion, it's like a little bit of like a body like shield. So like for me to even look at myself in the mirror now and be like, oh, I got a couple pounds on, that's all right, look at all the shit you just went through the last couple of months, and like now it's just like starting to lean off, and I'm like, that's right, because I'm shedding all the shit off, I'm like making boundaries, cutting it all off. So yeah, I don't need all the extra pounds, I don't need the extra armor, like I'm solid.
So good.
And like to think of it like that, to think of it like that, it's just been like, it's such a mind change for me to look in the mirror. Like even I used to be like, oh my God, I have stretch marks. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. You had a kid that sit on the left side the whole time I was pregnant. Just his ass was on the left side. So it was like all stretched out. Like, and that's just where the fat's always going to sit. And I know it, but I'm like, yeah, but I carried a kid.
Right.
So definitely give, again, just like grace, like you're fucking killing it right now. Like I can't even believe like where I am. Like, that's even amazing. Just like the transition period, like nothing has to be set in stone. I don't have to like, this is my job, this is all I'm going to do. Like I've never thrived in a box is the best way I can put it. My therapist puts it too. He's like, you cannot be put in a box. Like you pop off and pop out.
Pretty sure that's the manifestor.
Yes.
/ Gemini.
Yes. It's very Gemini, but I don't know. Just like, I'm so happy to be in this version of me. And like, it's really taken until even the last like month for me to be like, fuck yes, like this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And like I know it's a transition period and like shit's kind of rocky still, but like to be in this season, like everything's a season where I'm like, okay, it's just a little rocky right now, it's kind of raining right now, but like now the sun's coming out and I'm like, fuck yes, back outside we go. Time to run. I love it.
Oh, that's so fucking beautiful. And you're such a badass human. Like I mean, that's why we want you on here, right? We're friends with you because we love you and we think you're amazing and like super inspirational. Okay, one more thing. If you were to share something, but you want to say something, Laura? You go.
I think I was gonna ask the question that you're gonna ask. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Go for it.
So
yeah.
Go for it. Okay. So our podcast is about shattering ceilings, right? So where do you feel like right now in your life you're working on shattering a ceiling?
Oof. I would say like boundaries. That's been a big one for me. Mainly because I do feel like I was kind of like a yes person for a while, like people pleasing, because I always wanted to give, because I always wanted people to feel like either as good as I felt, or like if they felt shitty, I wanted to make them feel better because they shouldn't feel shitty in my brain. But like to actually create a boundary of like, I don't have space for this. Like I cannot drain my energy here. I cannot do this. Or like to say no to things, like to not go to events, or to not go to like a party, or to not go out to the bar. Like even like those kind of things, like just creating a solid boundary where like I'm comfortable saying no. Like that's been my biggest one. And like even whether it's like relationships or friendships or even like my own family, like to be able to create a boundary and be like, no, I'm not doing this and I'm not going. That's the way it is. Like there's no change my mind and I don't feel bad about it. Just because again, like what Lauren said, like you're making a decision for you and your family, like that's where I'm at now. And like if this does not serve me and my child in the best possible way, in the highest possible way, I don't want a part of it. I just don't.
Yeah, you're so cool.
I love that.
Yeah, that's cool.
This was awesome, guys.
Yeah.
So I am 100% positive that there are going to be people that want to connect with you, especially in maybe like people that are in this similar situation, and obviously like you are someone to definitely talk to because you're coming out of a lot of those things, right, that you experience. So where can we find you on
Instagram? I am on Instagram and on Facebook. I think Facebook it's Gabby DeHaan, and then just a picture of me and my son. And then Instagram, I think it's Gabriella, but with 4 L's because the 2 were taken. Yeah, but that's where you can find me. And I always want to. I'm definitely in a place where like I have an open space. There's no judgment. I'm all ears. I'm everything and anything in that sense. And I'd love to, be able to help anybody out that either feels the way I do or knows somebody the way that they feel like this. There is a better side. There definitely is.
It's a season and it's not forever.
Yep. That's true.
Well, thank you for sharing the last hour, I would say, with us.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right.
We should do this again.
Guys. Yeah.
I'd love to.
We'll revisit.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.